In the 1990s, rather. Yeah. So I don't make a mistake about the date, and then you go research it, and it's not the exact date. So like in the 1990s, there was this there was this bank on Wall Street. I don't know if you guys know Wall Street. If you know, please just react. Wall Street in the US. That's like the biggest financial area in the US. Okay, very good. Thank you very much. So there was this finance institution, Lehman Brothers, very popular and known for their history, their abilities and all that. And so they they literally had like the best flourishing. I mean, a lot of customers were pulling in with their funds, their finances, with the trust that at the end of the day they were going to get like maximum profits, right? Because it was an investment bank, one of the biggest, one of the most powerful, like of all time, even till today. And then after 160 years of an insane financial history, everything came crashing down in one day. Like every single thing came crashing down in one day. There was nothing left. 600 plus billion in assets wiped. Everyone who thought that they literally had their money somewhere, probably flourishing, blossoming, they were happy. Oh, maybe by the end of this year, I'm going to withdraw part of my money, maybe 10%, invest in a business and all that. At the end of the day, nothing of that sort happened because every single thing was wiped away. Now, the main idea behind all this was this did not happen in a day. It was a gradual process because I mean it's banking, right? And we understand that when we deposit our money in a bank, at the end of the day, these banks they use our money for investment. That's why most people, when you hear like people who do fixed deposit, your money does not stay in that bank till you go to collect it. All they push your money out for investment, and then at the end of the day, they gain their own profits, and then they send your own profits back to you. So this is how banks operate. That's how they gain their own profits. Apart from like the customer charges and all that. This is basically how they gain their own profits. So when everything came crashing down, nobody knew who to question. Like there was literally nobody to question. We did not know who to hold for such an event because literally we put our trust in humans, and just imagine what happened. We were at home, we were resting, and everything just disappeared in one day. This particular event brought up the question: what if we did not have to trust in humans to secure our finances? And that particular question bettered the greatest 9-page paper ever in the history of man, which was published by Satoshi Nakamoto, rather, which was published by him or them, because till today we don't actually know the personality. We don't even know who, if it's a man, if it's a woman, if it's a group. We do not know till today. But that was how the blockchain was bettered. Now, moving on from our story, for most of us who are Web3 natives, who are new to the Web3 space, where we've had explanations like, the blockchain is a digital ledger. It's a digital ledger technology that stores, transfers data in a decentralized, transparent, and immutable manner. Or we've heard things like the blockchain is an unhackable digital ledger which is transparent and decentralized. That's a whole lot of technical jargon, because at the end of the day, we can't actually say this to someone who does not understand the technical terms of Web3, and the person would actually get what we're talking about. So this class is solely built on how transactions are recorded, which is using the blockchain, and why the blockchain even matters. So for my definition here, we have that the blockchain is a digital database, and we all understand what a database is: a place where data is stored, right? We have data for those of us that are familiar with maybe data analysis words, or maybe like, or you have in your school, right? We are all, most of us here are students, or we've once been students, and there's a database in school where they store like every student's record in one place. It might be in one computer, it might be in one large room. So now just imagine if something happens, maybe a fire break out, the computer system gets burned down, or the room. What it means is that that particular database data in that database is wiped forever. But now for the blockchain, it's a digital database which is distributed across thousands of computers all around the world simultaneously, such that every participant or user has an identical copy of the entire record. What this means is, if I have access to the blockchain, Sir Kings has access to the blockchain, and Nico has access to the blockchain, Perpetual, Bamboo, Safe, Miracle, Navis, Medad. What it means is that whatever I, Frankie, can see on my end, Dominion can see on his end, Atuma Favor can see on her end, Safe can see on her end at the same time. If I, Frankie, decide to make a change to that blockchain, every single person sees it at the same time. That's what the word simultaneously means there. We can liken it to a Google Doc. Most of us have used Google Docs before, right? We can liken it to a Google Doc. Now, if I set up a Google Doc for my team, for instance, now we have like a project in the university, and we are supposed to work on a particular topic, maybe how AI affects human lives and all that. Whatever I'm editing on my end, my team members can see it on their end at the same time. They don't have to wait for me to edit everything before they see it. Or when I'm done editing, I give them permissions to see it. Or when I'm done editing, I push the change to them for them to re-edit on their end. I don't know if you guys understand what I'm trying to say. Please, if you do, I would like to see your reactions. I okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So that's basically what a blockchain is. Now the difference between the blockchain now and this Google Doc is that there is no central controller. You know why it's called Google Doc? Because Google controls it. So literally we don't own it. We can only use it because Google has given us the permission to use it. So Google owns it. The moment Google decides that, oh, I don't like Frankie again, or these people in this region, Nigerians, they are troublesome, we don't want to give them access to our doc again, and they decide to shut Nigerians out, that's the end, because nobody questions their authority. It's a central control system, so they have every right to do whatever they want to do, make whatever decision they want to make. So we are going to go through a few differences between the traditional database and the blockchain. Now, for the traditional database, like I made reference earlier to, like our school databases, everything is stored in one place, as we can see here. But for the blockchain, it is stored across several nodes. The node here is basically like a computer all around the world, like everywhere around the world, so that whatever happens to node A does not affect the blockchain. The other ones keep going. And the second difference is that one company controls the traditional database, which is what I was trying to imply when I used the Google Doc example. And for the blockchain, as you can see here, it says it is controlled by the network. What is a network? The network is a chain or a link of several systems. So what it means here is that every single person owns a control. I can remember yesterday when Safe was emphasizing the difference between Web 1, Web 2, and Web 3. She said that Web 3 gives us the power to own, which we do not have in Web 1 and Web 2. Web 1 and Web 2, we don't have any business, we can't own it, we don't have any business to do with it. Those people there can decide to wake up in the morning and shut everyone out, and it remains like that. But for Web 3, it is not the same thing. That's where the decentralization comes in. For the traditional database, the records can be deleted from the database. For instance, like we watch movies, right? I can have like, okay, let's use a scenario in the movie where someone committed a crime, right? And that person is maybe an FBI agent, but he's undercover, and nobody wants to. The FBI, they don't want people to find out that, okay, oh, this guy undercover is an FBI agent, because if they do, they might probably kill him or something like that. They want it to be that maybe he's still a part of the criminals. So while the criminals are trying to verify the person's identity, the FBI ensure that on every database that guy is existing as what he claims to be, and whatever he is in the FBI does not show in real life. So that's basically what happens in the traditional database. Records can be deleted at any time, any day, anywhere. But for the blockchain, the records are permanent. It is whatever you put in. This one is not garbage in, garbage out. Whatever you put in remains there. It does not come out. Like, it stays there, and nobody can tamper with it. The moment you decide to tamper with the information in a particular block, what it means is that the entire chain is destroyed. The entire chain is destroyed completely. For the traditional database, our fourth difference says institutions are in control of trust. I emphasized this when I was talking about the banking system, right? When I said that for a bank, the bank can decide whatever happens, which we saw during the story of the Lehman Brothers. The bank can wake up in the morning and decide that, oh, I'm carrying UBA can just decide tomorrow and say, I'm carrying everybody's money and I'm going to throw it into maybe sports betting or prediction market. And whatever happens, the highest they can do is they will come out and apologize to us, right? But we don't have any control over all those things. We know it's our money, but we don't have any control over all those things because it's a central authority system. So the institution is in control of the trust. But for the blockchain, the trust is enforced by a line of codes. So instead of us to trust the banking system, instead of me to trust the UBA management, the Zenith Bank management, which I don't even know what they are doing with my money, instead of me trust those people, for the blockchain, I only trust the line of code. Whatever is imputed, whatever this code says, I know that it is going to execute time and time again. That's the difference between trust in codes and trust in humans. If a particular code is written here in Nigeria, right, and that code is sent to someone in Pakistan, and that person imputes that code, whatever result I have in Nigeria is the same result that person is going to have in Pakistan. The locality does not have any impact on it. It does not make any difference. And the last part is that access is restricted to only those with proper security clearance. We also understand that, okay, let's go back to the FBI example I gave, for instance. In the military, there are different levels, right? They call it security clearances. So literally, a cadet and a general, they don't have the same power. They don't have the same power. So whatever database, part of the database, the general can access. The general can access. The cadet cannot access it as well. That's the difference between the cadet and the general. That's why I said here that only people with proper security clearance can access this files. But for the blockchain, every single file is accessible to the public. So whatever is happening in Germany, whatever is happening in India, I can see it from my bedroom in Nigeria because I have access to it. That's the power that the blockchain gives us. Now, okay, moving on to, before we talk about the characteristics of the blockchain, yeah, I would like to explain in few terms. Now, I've mentioned the block, I've mentioned the chain, I've mentioned the node, and I know that several people are like, they're trying to understand, like, what do these terms actually mean, yeah? What do these terms actually mean? I'm trying to see if there's a place I explain this later on. Okay, so there's nowhere. All right. So it's good we address it now before we move on. So a block is simply a container that stores transaction data. Now, for every file in an office, they are all grouped into several boxes. For instance, they can be grouped by date of birth. They can be grouped by names in alphabet. Maybe we have like boxes from A to Z, and every name falling under letter A are grouped in one box. Every name falling under letter B are grouped in another box. That's what the block start. That's exactly what the block simplifies, rather. So it's the container that stores transaction data. Then the chain is what links one block to another block. As you can see from this diagram here, as you can see from this diagram here, this diagram here signifies the blockchain. I assume you can see my screen. It signifies the blockchain. So these purple lines we can see right here are the chains. These purple lines are the chains. Then this blue and light green boxes are basically the blocks. They are the blocks. And then the node is, it said the node is any computer that participates in the network. I remember earlier when I was saying something about having several nodes around the world. So the node is basically a computer. As I have my laptop here, the moment I sign into maybe Ethereum blockchain or Solana blockchain, and Safe is signed into the same blockchain in our house, what it means is that our laptops right now represent different nodes that are all around the world. That's basically what it means. You guys cannot see my screen.
We can see it.
Can you see my screen, Mr. King?
Yes, you can see your screen.
Okay, I don't know. For those that can't see my screen, please try to refresh your Telegram. Thank you. All right. Let's go ahead, please. And then another word I would like you to take note of is the ledger. I mentioned this in the previous definition of the blockchain, where I said that the blockchain is a digital ledger technology, right? So this ledger now is basically another name used to describe the blockchain. Is the record of all transactions. That's what the blockchain is, a record of all transactions. For those of us that did like business studies, accounting in school, we know what the ledger is, right? Where the business person writes down their transactions, maybe for the day, for the month, for the week, and all that. Another word I would like to talk about is decentralization. I've brought up this word before, but for those that are joining it, I would like to explain what it means. What decentralization means is that this blockchain does not have a single point of control or failure. So everybody around the world can control it. If my node, if my laptop, if something happens on my end, in my house, it does not affect Safe in our house. It does not affect Mr. King. It does not affect Navis, it does not affect Joy, it does not affect Miracle. Everybody is still going to be all right wherever they are. That's the benefit the blockchain gives us, right? It is decentralized. There's no single point of control. Control is scattered all over the world. And then the last one is immutability. What this means is that the moment data is entered into the blockchain or is written, the data cannot be changed. The moment you try to change something, you destroy the entire block. That's the meaning of the immutability. So for the characteristics of blockchain, as we can see on the screen, it says that it is decentralized, and we just need to explain decentralization. That it means that the blockchain is all over the world. It is transparent. Whatever is happening in my house, whatever I can see on my screen, if I tell everybody now to go to Solana and check out the Solana blockchain, the transactions that are going on there right now, whatever I'm seeing in my house, Miracle will see in his house. Perpetua will see in her house. Navis will see in his house. Marvelous will see in his house. Every single person sees the same thing in their houses, no matter where they are. And for the fact that the blockchain is immutable, it simply explains the characteristics I just explained, the immutability, that it cannot be any data that is put into the blockchain cannot be changed unless you want to destroy it. And the blockchain is secure. I know that we have certain situations where hackers break into the system, but let me explain what really happens there. They do not actually hack. They do not actually hack the blockchain. They hack a system built on the blockchain. You cannot hack Ethereum. You cannot hack Solana. What you can hack is you can hack something that is being built on Solana. Maybe a DeFi product, or a decentralized finance product, or any other product that is being built on Solana. That's what you can hack. And then I think I heard Safe saying this yesterday, but I would also like to emphasize on it. Blockchain is not cryptocurrency. Like, it is not cryptocurrency. Rather, cryptocurrency is only an application of blockchain. It's just like we have Gmail and we have the internet, right? Gmail is what? Google Mail. There's Google Drive, there's Google Doc, there's Google Workspace, there's Google Classroom. Gmail is not the internet. It is simply a system that has been built on the internet. So let's address. I don't know. Before I go ahead, does anyone have any question? Yeah, before we go over to the next slide. If you have any question, please just unmute and ask. Or if everyone is good, please, I would like to see reactions from everyone. Thank you.
All right. My question, I don't know, it's going to look very funny, but I guess you better ask it. Now, when you said that the block, sorry, that you can access it from everywhere in the world, and used the banking system, for instance, I'm trying to find a way to visualize the whole process that makes it different. Because let's say, for instance, right, if Access Bank, they make any changes on their site, you'll be able, even if you are in Abuja, you'll be able to get the changes in that site. Like what's the difference? Like, does it make? I don't know if you understand my point.
Okay. Now let's say Access Bank in Port Harcourt, right? There are still several Access Banks in Port Harcourt. Every single Access Bank has a database. Every single Access Bank branch has
Sorry, I don't know if you just me, but I'm not more hearing anything. Thanks, Neville.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we can hear you now. Yes.
What part did you hear? What part did you hear? Like, where did I stop?
Port Harcourt, bank in Port Harcourt, yeah.
Okay, I'm very sorry. I don't know, my mic muted. So, I was trying to say that, for instance, now if we have a bank in Port Harcourt, let's say UBA Bank, right? I'm a UBA bank member. I have an account with them. So basically, I opened my accounts in Choba. That's where I opened my account, the branch in Choba. But now, if I have an issue with my bank, with my account, I can't go to UBA in GRA for them to resolve that issue for me. Do you know why? Because every single UBA branch has a database. Now it's very known that they have a headquarters, and from that headquarters they can be able to like manipulate things in different places. But they'll always refer you to that place where you registered your account, because that's where your data is centered. It's just like we have like a general UBA server, and then there are shared servers under the UBA server, so that every single branch has to take care of whatever problems that they have. But with the blockchain, it's completely different. If I have an issue with I'm in Pakistan, I have an issue with my blockchain. Even if I go to Nigeria, I will still have that same issue you get, and I can still be able to resolve that issue from anywhere in the world. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, the control and the system operation is spread all around the world. Everybody has the same access to it. Both the deepest part of Africa, where people do not even have phones, people don't even have data, people cannot even access the internet. If the internet goes to certain parts of Africa today, and you go there and you open a Solana account, you open you start trading on Solana, you will still see what is happening in Nigeria. The same thing you're seeing in that place that has never had internet in their history since the inception of that place. They have never experienced the internet before. You still have the same access as other persons. I don't know if you understand better now, Mr. Kings.
Yes, yes, I understand better now. Then, sorry,
All right.
one last question.
All right.
Um,
All right.
okay, you are saying something like that the application of that blockchain is decentralized, that is not governed by anybody. Okay, those line of codes, I want to ask, people wrote this code. I don't know. Is it after writing that they don't have any control rights, or that they don't have it, they just launch the product and then release it all? So I mean,
People wrote people wrote the codes. Yes. I mean, there's no control. When we say there is no control, we are not saying that these things they did not just come from anywhere. You get me? They were written by humans. Even when we say, even Ethereum blockchain is owned by someone. You know that's right. By Vitalik. He was the one that brought about Ethereum blockchain. Now, when we say control, what we mean is this. It is very obvious that someone wrote the line of code, but that person cannot be able to impose. He can't impose certain things on us. Even in that Ethereum, even in the inner circle, because we are just users basically. In the inner circle of Ethereum, where we have people under the governance and all that, if they have 100 persons in that governance circle, right? Or 10,000 persons in that governance circle, no decision can be made unless those 10,000 persons agree. That's why we talk about decentralized control. The control is not made by one person. If I own a school, I am the proprietress of a school, right? I can wake up in the morning and decide that, oh, these uniforms my students are wearing, to hell with it. I don't want it anymore. I bring a new uniform and tell their parents to buy it mid-term, like during the term, that they must buy it, even though their children are not going to write exam. Parents are going to buy. Why? Because I am the one in control, right? They pay school fees, so they will buy. But if we have a body of persons, a board that has to do with like 20 persons or 15 persons, the moment I bring this idea, there might be someone there that will say, Madam Proprietress, so this your idea does not make any sense. Next thing, 2 persons have joined him, 3 persons have joined him, 4 persons have joined him, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I'll see that, okay, I cannot actually win these people over. What do? I go to sleep with my idea, because I cannot impose the idea on them, because the control there is what? Decentralized. That's what decentralization really means. It does not mean that these lines of code just emerged from nowhere, or humans did not write them. People actually wrote these lines of code. I don't know if you understand better now.
yes, yes. Okay, so what it means is that the users have a say in the product, from what you're saying.
Thank
because
you.
using the
Exactly
governance
that.
part is okay. I guess that, but if you use that governance part, it's still looking as if it's though some people have access. But from what I'm understanding, users are also part of the governance, I think. Yeah, I don't think I understand.
Exactly. There's a way the governance work. I don't know who is going to take that part, but there's a way the governance works. And when you, even in this governance circle, there's like a particular criteria you need to have. But what this means is that our opinions, our whatever we want is actually important to these projects. You get, that's why they say in Web3, every time you're here, the community is always very important. The community, why do you think people actually like dwell on their communities? Because the community is what holds the system. If tomorrow now Ethereum decides that they want to come out with one ridiculous idea that the majority of us cannot go with, and we say, Ethereum, we don't like this thing, we are not going to, if you do this, we are going to pull out. Ethereum will not do it because it's our what it's whatever we are, the transactions we make, the things we do on the blockchain, that's what keeps Ethereum running, right? If we don't actually do, if Ethereum does not have users be as big as definitely one day this blockchain we know Ethereum today will definitely end. Was I was I
Yes, you answered my question. Thank you.
answer your question? Exactly. So I still
I don't know if you just me, but still not hearing how it was.
can you guys hear me now?
All right, yes, I can hear you now. Yes.
Okay. Am I still sharing my screen?
No, your screen is off.
Okay. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't know my network MTN among those people. My network just messed up. So I am going to reshare my screen now. I'm going to reshare my screen now. Just give me a moment, a few seconds here. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, you can see it.
Okay. Wait, I'll have to share and reshare. I'll have to share and reshare. Okay, can you see it now?
Yes, we're seeing it. Yes.
All right. So were you able to understand from my explanation?
Yes, I got everything. Say thank you.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome. I don't know if any other person has any question before we go ahead. I would like to know if everyone is following because that's the essence of this boot camp. If at the end of everything you don't actually understand what's still going on in the Web3 space, then I feel like we failed. So if you don't understand anything, please unmute your mic now and speak. Thank you very much. Okay, I'll go ahead now since no one is unmuting their mic. So let's address how transactions occur on the blockchain. I know we've been hearing transactions happen on the blockchain, no? And you're wondering, how do these transactions actually happen on the blockchain? So this is what happens. I will use two persons as an example. Miracle, can you hear me? So you're reacting thumbs down. Can you please unmute your mic and speak? Miracle, can you hear me? Miracle, can you hear? Please, if anyone can't hear, I don't know, just go off and come back again. Thank you. All right, I will go ahead now, Obianuju. So I will just use two persons as an example here. So Navis and Olga Joy. I don't know if I got, sorry, let me just use Leo and Joy. I don't know, so I don't like spoil the pronunciation of your name. Okay, you guys can't unmute, eh? Why now? But Mr. Sakit can unmute. I don't know why you can't unmute. Oh, I didn't stop anybody from unmuting.
We can unmute.
Okay, please, that person is from your network. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Joy. So I'm going to use Leo and Joy as an example. So let's say, okay, for the first step, it says a user requests a transaction. Let's say Leo wants to send 5 Solana to Joy, which is Sol, right? The currency of Solana to Joy. And what happens in the second step is that the transaction is broadcast to the network. What it means is that every one of us sees the transaction once it's initiated. I don't know. I wish I had some Solana or one in my wallet on my system here. I would have shown you guys how everything works. I would have tried to transfer to someone's address, maybe a few Solana, so we can see what I'm trying to say. So when we go to like the blockchain server, everybody there sees what happens. That's what the transaction is broadcast to the network. That's what it means. At the third stage, the nodes verify or validate this transaction. Now, how does this validation occur? You know, when you want to transfer money from your OPay, right? And then you want to transfer maybe like 100K. And OPay will be like, oh, this money is large. Oh, are you sure you want to go ahead with this transfer? You say, yes, go ahead. Okay, this account is not saved as a beneficiary. Are you sure you want to go ahead with this transfer? And we'll be like, oh, my OPay, just run this transfer for me now. Make I go where they go. You get? But at the end of the day, all of these questions are being asked to verify that it is actually that this transaction can actually take place. Now, in the blockchain aspect, questions like, does Leo actually have enough Solana in his wallet to transfer to Joy? Now, let's say what Leo has in his wallet is exactly 5 Solana. Leo cannot transfer 5 Solana to Joy because transaction charges are going to be there as well. What they call gas fees here. Transaction charges are there. So Leo cannot transfer the whole. If he transfers the whole 5 Solana to Joy, where will Solana collect their own cuts from? So they have to check, does Leo actually have enough stored in his wallet to initiate this transaction? Okay, fine. Leo has 50 Solana. All right. Let's go ahead with the transaction. Now, for that transaction to take place, there's still something called a digital signature. It might be a fingerprint, it might be a code. If Leo puts his finger on the fingerprint sensor on his phone, and they cannot recognize that fingerprint, that transaction will not go through because what? The signature is not authentic. That's what happens in the number 3, which we see here as nodes verify or validate the transaction. Now, the moment this transaction is validated, okay, Leo has passed every criteria that we need. Let's go ahead to the next thing. The moment this happens, that transaction enters a mempool. Now, this mempool is basically short form for memory pool, right? Where every single transaction that is waiting to be confirmed enters. Now, Leo is trying to send this money to Joy, but this transaction has not been has not been confirmed by this transaction has not been confirmed by the Solana blockchain yet. So Leo has to wait, right? This transaction enters into the mempool till it is confirmed. Now, once this transaction is verified, it is bundled into a block by validators. Now, who are these validators, or who is the validator? It's basically a group of individuals or a group of systems that say, okay, this transaction is good to go. Let's allow it to go through, right? Let this transaction go through. That's what happens, and the transaction goes through. Now, that block that is bundled by the validators is then validated by a consensus mechanism. Let me give a little hint about what this consensus mechanism, because we are going to be talking about this on day 4. This consensus mechanism is basically like an agreement, a system of agreements that allows this transaction to actually go through. That's what this consensus mechanism is. The moment it is validated by the consensus mechanism, this verified block is then added to the chain. So now, before a block is added to a chain, you have seen the several processes it has to go through. The request is made, it is broadcast, it is validated, the nodes validate the transaction, then it moves to the mempool where it is bundled. After it is confirmed, it is bundled into a block by validators. Then that block is validated by a consensus mechanism before it is added to the chain. Now, the updated blockchain, which now consists of that transaction that has been confirmed and that has gone through, is now distributed across the network. I don't know, Bambu said he cannot hear. Please, can you guys still hear me? Let me be sure I'm not speaking to myself. Oh,
Yes, I'm hearing you.
okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Leo. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. So that's what happens. That's how transactions happen in the blockchain. All of these long processes we are actually seeing, at the end of the day, it does not actually take as much time as we are seeing here. Okay, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 processes, right? It does not actually take this much time in the real sense. So all of these things happen in seconds. If I transfer Solana now, like if I transfer Solana or maybe a stablecoin, USDC or USDT, so maybe Leo or Joy or Oma here right now, they're going to receive it in seconds. Like before they even know what is going on, before me, I even understand what's going on. That money has moved from my wallet. That's how fast all of those processes occur. Now, we've been speaking about the block, about how the block contains the transactions and all that. But this block itself, what does the block actually contain? Now, there's what we call the block header. And on the screen, we said that I said that the block header contains metadata about the block. This is basically technical grammar and jargon. What this means is that this metadata is simply a timestamp. I don't know if you guys have heard of timestamp before, or you know what a timestamp is, right? Now, the timestamp is basically like a signification of a particular time something happened. It might be the time a video was uploaded to the internet, it might be the time a transaction was made, but that's what a timestamp is basically. So it contains the timestamp transaction, it contains the, what did I write here? Well, I can't see. Anyways, it contains the timestamp of the transaction and it contains the hash pointers. Now, moving over to the previous, the hash basically. Okay, let me ignore that hash first of all. We're going to talk about it in a little time. So let's just have it in mind that the block contains a hash pointer, right? Now, the previous block hash. The second thing the block contains is the previous block hash. Now, a hash is basically like a fingerprint. If I for every phone, there's a specific fingerprint that there's a specific fingerprint that is used for that phone. Now I can have up to 3 fingerprints on my phone, or maybe my fingerprint, my uncle's fingerprints, my auntie's fingerprints, because I want them to have access to it, right? But for this block right now, every block has a specific fingerprint, which is called the hash. This is used to identify that particular block. Then for after the previous block, the next thing a block contains is the Merkle root. The Merkle root. Now this Merkle root is basically a summary of all transaction hashes. All right, Iben, I hear you. I'll drop the material after the class. You're actually going to like get the recording, yeah. So you'd be able to see everything that happened in the class. Well, for the assignment, okay, I would prepare an assignment though before the end of the class, and then I would share it to you guys, so you guys can just go and try your minds. Anyways, let me continue right now. So we have like the Merkle root. This is basically like a summary of all transaction hashes, right? It's just like we have a list of, let me say now, a spreadsheet, right, that has the list of all transaction hashes that are in that block. Every single transaction that is placed in that block, the Merkle root has a summary of all its hashes. So that if I want to identify or verify a particular transaction, now maybe the transaction that Leo did with Joy, I can just go, okay, this is the hash of this transaction. I click on it and I see what happened there. Then the timestamp. The timestamp. This is basically when the block was created. I spoke about the timestamp before, and it's resurfacing again. So it's basically where when the block was created. Maybe I did a transaction, or transactions were recorded by a block was created by 7 a.m. 02/2026. That's like okay, let me say 02/05/2026. That's 2nd of May 2026. That is that and the exact time it was created. That is what the timestamp contains. Then we have the transaction list, which is the list of all validated transactions that are contained in the block. Then moving over to the hash. Okay, before the hash, let's talk about the types of blockchain network. In the blockchain, we have the public blockchain, we have the private blockchain, and we have what we call the consortium blockchain. Now, the public blockchain, these are blockchains that are open to every single person. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, I think Cardano, and several others. Several different Sui, we have several blockchains. We have, I think, Binance, yes, and every other blockchain that is out there. These are blockchains that are open to everybody. And then we have the private blockchains, which are restricted to a specific organization. And even as it's still the blockchain, but this one now, from you can see the description on the screen, that it is controlled by a centralized governance. So, okay, an example is a corporate internal network. This particular blockchain now is a blockchain, but it is still controlled by a centralized governance. So here, we can't really say that there's decentralization, because there's still that control. Then we have the consortium blockchain, which is like a semi-decentralized blockchain where the control is spread amongst group members, like the board room I talked about, where we have board members. Examples are bank consortiums. Then moving over to the next thing, we have the hash. the hash, like I said earlier, is basically the fingerprint of the blockchain. We can see the fingerprint image here, right? It signifies that every single block has a specific fingerprint that is used to identify that block. And the hash, from my definition here, says that a hash is a fixed output generated from an input in a blockchain, and it serves as the foundation of blockchain security. Now, for the first characteristic of the hash, it says that the same output produces the same input rather, sorry, the same input produces the same hash. What this means is that no matter where or when the input is put into the node, it generates the same hash. This characteristic is called deterministic. Maybe you have heard the block hash is deterministic. This is what it means, that wherever that input is made, whether it be in Nigeria, in Ghana, in South Africa, in the UK, the US, in Turkey, Ukraine, wherever in the world, and at whatever time, as long as it is that exact input, it is going to give us the same output. The second one says that it is one way. Now, let me just, I used an instance when I was starting. I said something about garbage in without garbaging out, right? It does not come out, like it can only go in. You know what a one way is now, right? One way, just like we have one way roads. When you say someone is following one way, it means that the person is going through a lane that the person is not supposed to go through, right? This lane is supposed to be for only this direction. Either the cars on that lane are going forward, or the cars on that lane are going backward. So the hash is one way. It means that it can only go in one direction. So the input cannot be reverse engineered. It cannot be reverse engineered. There are certain things in science, I don't know, most of us here might not be science students, so forgive me. But there's something we say that what is this phrase again? Something about when we say something is able to change from one form to another. It's just like in water, right? If we ice water, we get ice block. If we melt ice block, we get water. Reversible change. Thank you. Reversible change. So for the reversible change, it can go two ways, right? If it goes this way, it can also come out the other way. But if we burn a clothes, we can never get that clothes back. Ashes can never turn back to that clothes. That's what simply happens in the hash. The moment that input is put in and we get the hash, it can never be reverse engineered. We cannot get the inputs from the hash. With a hash, I can never know what was imputed. Like, no matter what I do, no matter how good I am with hacking systems, programming, and all that, it can never work that way. That's why it's called, like, it is said that it is one way. The third characteristic of the hash is that it has an avalanche effect. What this avalanche effect means is that if we change a single character in the hash, everything changes. A single character in the input, the entire hash changes. Now, for instance, we have an input, and the input is maybe the input is Leo sends money to Joy every Tuesday, and the hash comes out as letters and numbers. And then I change that input to Leo collects money from Joy every Tuesday. That hash can never be the same thing. It can never produce the same letters and numbers. That's what we call the avalanche effect. The ability of the hash to change the moment a character in its input is changed. Then another characteristic of the hash is that it has a fixed length. So when we're talking about the fixed length, it says no matter how large or how short the input is, the hash is always the same size. If the hash is programmed to be a 12-letter or 12-letter word, and it consists of maybe numbers and alphabets, no matter how large my input is, even if my input is Mr. Kings gave Safe money which she gave to Dominion, then Dominion bought biscuit for Lorde which Lorde gave to Medad. It is going to be exactly the same 12 character word. It does not change, no matter how long my input becomes. So moving on, let's talk about the key components of a blockchain. We have the nodes. We've talked about the nodes, how they are. Okay, for me, we say that the node is also called the distributed network, and each node stores a full copy of the ledger and validates new transactions on its own. Now, I have my laptop here. Safe has her own laptop. Kings has his own laptop. Dominion may not be using a laptop, maybe his mobile phone, and Nonde might be using a desktop. Joy might be using a tablet. Bamboo might be using an iPad. All of these are nodes, as long as they can access the network. Now, whatever transaction I'm doing on my end, if I want to send money to Ima or to Annie, I don't need permission from Safe to send my money. I can basically send the money, and then Safe will see it on her end that, oh, Frankie has sent money to Annie. That's basically how the node works. And we have like full nodes, we have light nodes, and we have mining or validator nodes. So the full nodes store the complete blockchain history. They have every single thing that happens in the blockchain. The light nodes store only the block hash. It stores only the block hash, and the mining nodes participate in block production. It's the mining nodes that generate the blocks. Then we can see from this diagram here. Let's say we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 nodes in this diagram. And these 8 nodes belong to 8 persons on this call right now. So whatever is happening here, whatever Joy decides to do in her own node, does not affect what Kings is doing on his own node. It does not affect what Chizzy is doing in his own node. It does not affect what Safe, what Bamboo, what Annie is doing. Everybody has a specific authority over their own nodes. Every node is specific to a particular person. And then we have cryptographic security. From our diagram here, we can see a padlock, right? That signifies security. It can either be opened or it can be locked. So cryptographic security says key cryptography is used to secure ownership and authorize transactions on the blockchain. So the cryptography is made up of a private key, a public key, and a digital signature. Sorry about that. Okay, for the keys, for the private key, the public key, we might have heard what these things are before, but we don't actually understand what it means. Now, the private key is simply a secret number that is only known by the owner, which is used to sign transactions. If I open a new Phantom wallet today, I have a specific private key for it that only me knows. No other person in this world can know that private key unless I share it with that person. I don't know if you guys understand what I'm trying to say. No other person can actually. Kings does not know my private key, and he can never know my private key unless I decide that, okay, I want to share my private key with Kings today, which is a very dangerous thing to do, because what if King has access to my private key? I don't know. Can you guys still see my screen? Kings, okay, you guys can still see. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know why today's network is embarrassing and is bad. So please, if you can't see the screen, do well to watch the recording later. But I hope I am explaining to my best ability. Thank you. I'm so sorry about the situation. Yeah. So sending the private key to Kings is a very, very dangerous thing to do, because what it means is that he has access to my wallet and he can do anything he wants. In fact, these days they don't even need private keys to even move they don't even need private keys to even move your wallet. They just need your wallet address. With your wallet address alone, somebody can move the small 5 Solana that you have. They moved my own the other day. I was not able to cry. 5 USDC that someone sent to me, I wanted to use for a transaction. Before the money will land in my wallet, the money has disappeared. And the guy sent a screenshot of what happened on the network to me, and truly it left his wallet. But I never saw it. I swallowed it. I told him there was no problem because he cannot actually generate the 5 USDC again. And I wanted to use it to buy what is it food I wanted to buy that day. There was nothing I could do. I had to survive. So basically, I don't know how that person was able to get access to my wallet address. And the person moved. Immediately the money dropped. The person transferred the money back to another wallet. Straight up. Like, there was no time to waste. So making your private key known is a very, very dangerous thing to do. Then we have the public key. This is now a part of the private key that can be shared with the public. This is what is used to receive funds, right? Anybody can know your public key. It does not matter. If they know the public key, that's why it's called a public key, right? It's accessible to every single person. Now, the wallet address is not the same as the public key. Maybe as I referenced my wallet address earlier, you might actually be thinking that it's the same thing. It is not the same thing. But the wallet address is gotten from hashing the public key. So the public key, like now, is the input that is put into the system, which brings out the wallet address. That's why you can either receive money with your public key or you can receive with your wallet address. And then for the digital signature, this is what proves that a transaction has been authorized by the owner of the blockchain, using maybe your phone fingerprint, maybe codes that you have already put in place, right? That these are the codes that if I don't input this code, so please Solana, don't send my money. That's why they say somebody can have 800 BTC right now, and something happens. The person forgets maybe the recovery phase or whatever was used as the digital signature before, or whatever, and the person does not have access to it. So this digital signature just simply signifies the network that, okay, this is Frankie that is trying to initiate this transaction. It's just like if I leave my phone now with Joy and she decides that, okay, Frankie has 500 Solana, let me collect 200 without her knowing. She cannot actually do it because even if I leave my wallet open there, the only way she can access it is if she does it the reverse way. She takes maybe my wallet address or my public key and then she accesses it from somewhere else. But to say that she's going to override it, she's going to do the transaction for my phone, it's not possible because she does not have the same digital signature as me. So she cannot authorize that transaction. Then moving on, we are almost coming to the end of this class. And we have the smart contract. Smart contract. I don't know if we have heard this word before, smart contract. But this smart contract is basically a self-executing code system that is stored on the blockchain, and it works based on preset conditions, which the moment they are met, the code executes itself without an intermediary present. Now, let's say that the blockchain has been set to this particular requirement. If Mr. A has enough Solana, including a transaction fee, which is the gas fee in his wallet, send the transaction. The smart contract, immediately this criteria is ticked, the smart contract executes on its own. It just executes like immediately. There's nobody in the world has to come and say, okay, Mr. A has 80 Solana and he's sending 50 Solana. That means he has enough gas fees as well. Let me permit this to happen. No, it does not work that way. That's what the smart contract is there for. It is a self-executing code system, so that the moment a particular criteria is reached, it just executes itself and the transaction goes through. We have the consensus mechanism. Again, this thing keeps coming up. So, like I said earlier, this is a method by which thousands of nodes come to a conclusion of a certain matter. There are certain rules that govern like certain places. I don't know. Let me just, I don't know if this has happened anywhere or if this is actually real. But let me use this kind of idea, right? Let's say, for instance, we have there's a plot of land, right? And that plot of land is like a family plot of land. It was owned by our great great grandfathers. We are Nigerians, right? Let me use that example. It was owned by our great great grandfather. And in the family, we have already agreed that this land that was owned by our great great grandfather, the eldest man in the house has control over that land. The moment we have agreed that the eldest man has a control over that matter, we have come to an agreement. There's nothing anybody says anywhere again that is going to actually change that decision. So a consensus mechanism is a method by which thousands of nodes all around the world come to a conclusion on a certain matter. And in this situation, there's no need for trust among these nodes, because if we have already set a particular rule that, okay, this thing should be done if this criteria is met, or if this person is the first son, he has the legitimate rights to that land. Why do we need trust again? Even in a family where they don't trust each other or they don't love each other, nobody can change anything, because we have already agreed, right, that everybody already knows that in maybe this part of Nigeria, the first son is the sole owner of the land. So whatever we are doing or whatever we are saying, we are just disturbing ourselves, because at the end of the day, the ownership of that land goes to the first son. So I sound a bit morphy. I'm not feeling too well, Sha. But it's all good. Let's continue. So we have real world applications of the blockchain. This is the last part of this class. And I would like to confirm that every single person understands what's going on up to this point. So if you do, I would like to see reactions. Please, reactions from everybody. Let's keep the reactions coming. Let's keep it coming. Let's keep it coming. Let's keep it coming. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. Aniko, yes. Allowed. Keep it coming. Let's keep it coming. Thank you very much, guys. I'm actually excited that I've been able to pass this knowledge down. Like, you guys actually understand what I'm saying, because teaching it's not easy. I had to think of certain ways to actually describe what I meant, and I'm very glad that I've been able to pass the information the best way possible. So let's move over to the next part and the final part: real world applications of blockchain. Blockchain. Can this blockchain actually be applied in real life? But let me tell you guys a little story before I talk about the real world application of blockchain. When I heard the word, when I got into the Web3 space, that was last year, March, or I think between February, March. I was just like, I'm on Web3 now, people are making money. The idea was sweet, right? I jumped into it. I got confused because everything I was hearing, everything I was seeing, I don't even know how this thing affects me in real life. Like, what is the force about all this that does not actually affect me in real life? It does not make any change to my life. It does not do nothing. I've not seen any way it affects my life. Why are people so interested in it? I had to run away. Because whatever, if you're learning in school, for people that do practical courses for like medicine, engineering, if you're learning and you don't see the real world applications of those things you're learning, it does not make any sense to you. Why am I doing calculus when I can't see what the real use of calculus is? All of those things don't make sense. But when you actually look at the real world application of the blockchain, everything becomes better. Iben, you said you don't understand. Please unmute your mic. I don't know. Where don't you understand? Thank you. Before we go ahead, let's address. Okay, you said public key wallet is public key wallet address. I said no. The public key is not the wallet address. The public key is basically an input. When you input the public key, you can get the wallet address. I said something about input when I was talking about hashes, blockchain hash, the block hash. I said something about the input and output. When you input the public address, you get the public key rather, you get your wallet address. I don't know if it makes any sense now, Eben. If it does, Eben, please react. Thank you, so we can move on. Okay, from the beginning. All right, no problem. Let me run down these applications, then we'll go back up. Please, you guys should just give me 1 minute. I will miss my mic, but I'll be back. Just a minute. Thank. Hi guys, I'm back now. If you can hear me, please react. Okay, sorry, I had to take a bathroom break. Yeah. So, back to what we were saying, talking about reward applications of the blockchain.
Hey, Frankie, I don't know that it's just me, but not hearing you.
Okay, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Hear me now?
Okay, yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know. My Telegram keeps muting by itself after some time. All right. So with the banks, when if you want to borrow a loan, for instance, you have like very ridiculous questions that are being asked, or there are some situations. Most of us migrated to microfinance banks, not because we migrated to OPay, not because OPay is older than UBA or because OPay is older than Access, but because of the systems that they have in place, I can send money from my UBA to my younger sister who is in their need in school, and that money would not land in 2 days. I can't do anything about it. Like, I can literally go to the bank. Maybe when I send the money to her, it's 4 p.m. and the bank is already closed. If I go there, they will tell me they are closed. They cannot attend to me. I have to come back the next day. I can go back the next day and they'll tell me the money is not here. It's in the other bank. You go to the other bank. They tell you the money is not here. It's in this bank. That's simply what happens in like the traditional finance world, right? But for the blockchain being applied to financial services, it provides a faster and cheaper cross-border payments method. So now I can have a younger brother that is schooling in Korea, and I receive payments in USDC as a freelancer, right? Instead of going through the bank to say I'm transferring money to an account that is going to convert it to the Korean currency. I've forgotten what they call that. That's going to convert it to that. What I just have to do is ask my brother for his Solana wallet. I send him the USDC. He stays there, and if he can spend it directly, he spends it directly. If he cannot, he converts it to his currency, then he makes use of it. Simple, in seconds. Over thousands of miles. How you know how many hours it takes for you to travel from Nigeria to Korea? You have to shuttle between several flights, but imagine where money is moving in seconds from Nigeria to Korea. This is what the blockchain has brought to us. This is the offer that the blockchain has brought to us based on our finance. Now, for trade finance, it provides streamlined documentation and verification. We can be able to verify our identities in seconds without having to go through numerous processes. Even for the bank loans that we have to that these microfinance banks offer us, there are certain amount of forms we have to fill, right? But for the blockchain for blockchain finance, it is extremely different. A simple amount of verification and documentation gets your loan validated, and the loan, you receive the loan in seconds. It provides secure and a tamper-proof identity record. Now, the security is sure, like it is your transaction and your identity is secure. On my Solana wallet now, I can have the nickname the biggest queen. The biggest queen made the transaction on Solana blockchain. The biggest queen transacted 60 Solana. Nobody knows the biggest queen in real life. Even my family members don't know I'm the biggest queen. Unless I tell them, nobody can ever know that I, Frankie, am the biggest queen, unless I tell them. But the moment a transaction is done in traditional finance, Francis Chiamaka transacted. She sent 5,000 naira to Mr. B. Oh, Francis Chiamaka, you have this amount of money in your account, eh? But when we asked you to do this, you couldn't do it. This is what the blockchain provides us. It provides that secrecy, that security, a tamper-proof identity. That's what the blockchain offers us. Moving on to the supply chain. It provides end-to-end tracking of goods and products. Now we have certain apps that are built on the blockchain, right? That allows people to trade. I can track my goods on these apps, how it's going, what happens in the movement of the goods, right? From when it's going to when it's coming back. Then the next thing is the authenticity of the products can be verified, therefore taking out the possibility of counterfeit. I can't actually send out, you can't actually transact things that are not original without them being verified. Then it helps with the compliance, regulatory reporting, and everything. If you want to actually start, I don't know if any of us have been privileged to work with a fintech company or anything as maybe anything, maybe a data analyst or a customer service operator or whatever. But if you have actually worked like with the developing area, like I worked with one last year, right? I was an intern for them. So now I was able to understand this, that the work and the process of the compliance activity in the background is insane. When I tell you it's insane, it is crazy. They have to move between several vendors. You need API, right? You're getting API from from this particular group of people. You need this group of people to take care of your ledger. You're getting the ledger from a particular vendor. You're getting your compliance and regulatory is done through another vendor. All of that is done through several channels. You have to submit forms to like 8, 9, 10 different organizations just to make sure that the fintech comes out well. And at the end of the day, those institutions can actually delay the process. But you don't actually, there's nothing you can do about it, right? You have to wait for verifications and all that. But now on the blockchain, there's this project, Stitch. Stitch right now is not really Stitch is not really a Web3 product, but it is an institution that has all of this in one. So now, taking whatever Stitch does to the supply chain of the blockchain, this is exactly what happens. Compliance, regulatory, and all that can be done in the same system. It is automated. We don't have to go through manual processes and all that. Moving on to healthcare. This is a very important part. This is like this. I feel like one of the biggest, for me, apart from finance, one of the biggest application of the blockchain, one of the biggest thing the blockchain has done for us as humans is the healthcare aspect. The fact that we can have a means of secure medical records of patients, it is absolute gold. That we can have a system where medical patients put in their records and it's secure. That is like one of the biggest things that the blockchain has ever done for humans. The drugs can be traced, fake medications can be gotten rid of. That's what the blockchain does. A particular drug can be moved from one place to another, and the blockchain has taken note of, okay, this is where this drug was moved from point this to point this. Meanwhile, in the real sense of it, I can actually lie in a report, right, that this drug did not come from Mexico, this drug came from the US, and no one will be able to track it, right? As long as I can be able to get rid of maybe the shipping number or shipping address, and then impute a new one that I want to replace that one. But for the blockchain, it's not like that. Whatever is being done can be traced. That's another benefit the blockchain gave to us. And then clinical trials. Clinical trials are made transparent. People can actually see what's going on with them. They actually understand that, okay, this is what is actually going on. And research data can be verifiable. It's just like we have people that, okay, some YouTube channels, for instance, and that are shipping ideas of things that are happening in for a particular disease, right? A particular health ailment. And then we don't even know if these things are actually telling us if it's true or not, because I mean, is there a way we can actually verify these things? There's no specific way for us to verify these things. So these are the benefits of the blockchain. There are several other benefits, but these are the applications I've been able to point out today. And with that, we have come to the end of today's class. But before I go through the summary and then questions and answers and final instructions, I would like you to go through this last slide. If you've not clicked on any link in the group, although the link in the group has already been shared, right, for you guys to join the different channels, but I still have them here, so you can join any of these. You can join any of these. You can join any of these socials that you find the link here. And then my contact info is right here. My X profile is right here at DataRightX. So you guys can shoot me a follow, and then you can also be in my DMs. I don't snub DMs, right? I may not be able to answer the particular moment you text me, but I promise you I will definitely reach out to you the moment I notice that you sent a DM. So you can connect with me there on X. Just drop a follow, and then maybe when you drop a follow, you can just hit my DM. Oh, Frankie, I am so person from this boot camp. So person from this. Okay, I'll drop my X link here, right? I'm so person. Let me drop my username first off. I'm so person from this boot camp, and you said we can come to your DM. So anything I need, I'll come to your DM. And then I have like specific things that this username I just dropped now is my X username. I'll still send my link to the group right now. So just hit me a DM whenever you want, right? So let's run through the summary of the class. So for those that came in late and for those that were thrown out by the network, by the end of this class, we were able to achieve our goals, right? We were able to understand how transactions are recorded and why the blockchain actually matters. And we went from the definition of the blockchain, saying that the blockchain is a digital database where distributed across thousands of computers around the world, where transactions are being stored or digital activities are being stored, such that every user has an identical copy of the entire record. That's why, okay, Iben, thank you very much. You can hit my DM anytime you want. Yeah. So we talked about the difference between the traditional database and the blockchain. We said that traditional database is stored in one place. I'm going to be a bit fast because we are past time and it's just 5 minutes before the end of the class. So they are stored in one place. The blockchain is across several nodes. The traditional database is owned by one company. The blockchain is controlled by the network, several persons, several nodes. Records can be deleted by the data from the database, the traditional database, while for the blockchain, the data is permanent, right? It cannot be tampered with unless the entire chain is destroyed. Then we said that for the traditional database, we have institutions are in control of the trust, right? But for the blockchain, it is trust is enforced by a line of code. Then for the traditional database, we said that access is restricted, and for the blockchain, the access is made open to the public. We talked about the characteristics of blockchain, that it is decentralized, it is transparent, it's immutable, and it is secure. Decentralized such that every single person can access it, right? There's not a single control in a particular place. Everyone has control over it. And we said that it is transparent, that whatever is happening on the blockchain can be seen by all. Frankie can see it, Ibe can see it, Kings can see it, every single person can see it. And we said that we said that it is immutable, meaning that it cannot be changed, right? Whatever happens remains like that permanently forever. If we can actually go to the Solana blockchain and trace transactions that happened the year that Solana was actually the year that Solana was brought. Yes, that's the username, Eben, yeah. And access the year that Solana was was incepted, rather exactly, was incepted. You will see those transactions that happened then, because it is permanent. It cannot be changed no matter what. So we talked about how transactions occur, how if the user requests the transactions, the transaction is broadcast to the network, then the nodes verify or validate the transaction, right? Then this transaction enters a mempool, that's like the memory pool, and it is verified. After verification, it is validated by a consensus mechanism, which we are going to talk about in day 4. After that, the block is then added to the chain. Then the updated blockchain is distributed across the network. Those are the things we talked about, or when we talked about the transaction occurring on the blockchain. And then we talked about the blockchain, what the blockchain contains, and we said the blockchain contains the block header, previous block hash, the Merkle root, the timestamp, transaction list, and so on. And we talked about the types of blockchain, from the public blockchain to the private blockchain to the consortium blockchain, how the public blockchain is open to everyone and the private blockchain is restricted to specific organizations, and the consortium blockchain is a semi-decentralized blockchain where control is spread amongst just group members. Then we talked about the hash, the fingerprint of the blockchain, the specific identity of the block, of a particular block. And we said that this hash now, the moment it is imputed, it produces the same hash no matter where or when it is imputed. We said that it is one way, meaning that whatever the inputs, the output can never produce the input. So the input can only produce the output, but the output can never produce the input. We talked about the avalanche effect, where if we change a particular character in the input, the output will not remain the same. Then we talked about the fixed length, how if the input, even if the input is one full page, the hash remains the same 12 character, 12 character, the same 12 character, what would I say now? Okay, let me say 12 character characteristic, right? That's if it is set at 12 characters. That's what I'm trying to say. That's if it's set at, because it can be set at 15 characters. I don't know. I've not really counted the letters before, right? I've not counted the characters. But if it is set at 15 or 12 characters, that's what it means. And then we talked about the key components of the blockchain, the node, the cryptographic security, the smart contract, the consensus mechanism, and all that. Then we rounded up with the applications of the blockchain. So we have officially come to the end of today's class, and I am sincerely thankful to the organizers who gave me the opportunity to speak on this class, because seriously, I didn't even know if I should have accepted this stuff or not, because I'm not really, like, I feel like I'm not a great teacher because I don't really know how to pass information sometimes, but I was able to explain it to my best ability, and I'm very glad that you guys really understand. You guys really understand what's going on. So I am very thankful to the organizers. Thank you for having me, and thank you all for showing up for this class, because you guys are the real MVPs. If you guys aren't here, this class would not actually hold today. So for the last activity, I would like you all to do something for me, right? I would like you all to do something for me. I want you to send your full names to this group chat right now. Like every other chat every other name, every other conversation should be ceased for now. But everybody send your full names to the group chats. Let's take record of that. Then if you have any question, please unmute your mic and speak. But